Hello, and welcome to the final episode of Streaming Music, Past, Present and Future, with me, Stephen. Firstly, I'd like to thank you for listening to this series. In this episode, I'll be trying to summarise my findings from the past 5 episodes. In episode 1, I spoke about the history of music streaming, and how Napster and LimeWire affected the ins and outs of the music industry today. I concluded that Napster and LimeWire has done more good than bad for the music industry, as I think without illegal piracy websites exposing music executives to the potential of digital music, the old formula of record labels selling physical music probably would have died out by the early 2010s, and in my opinion the rise of streaming services has actually encouraged people to go out and buy vinyl and CDs, as it feels new and fresh again. I think people would certainly struggle to follow their favourite artists as intensely if not for streaming services, as the rise in inflation recently could have priced a lot of people out of new music. In fact, according to UK Parliament, inflation sits at over 10% as of March 2023. I think in this regard, streaming has certainly helped the industry and the general public. Streaming services have introduced new artists to many of their now hardcore fans. I also believe it's a huge positive that streaming services allow fans to keep up with their favourite artists' releases for one monthly fee. Spotify has also started up and partnered with charities for social impact, such as Frequency, which is Spotify's global initiative for celebrating black art, Equal, which is a global music program that highlights the work of female artists and podcasters, and Glow, which celebrates LGBTQIA+ creators. So Spotify's reach goes beyond just creating a platform for artists to share their work. I mentioned in episode 1 how Spotify has 159 million active users, so I think it's fair to assume that services like Spotify and Apple Music aren't going anywhere anytime soon. The ease that they have created has moulded the music industry so significantly, it would take a huge shift in technological advancements to dethrone the streaming services at the top of the hierarchy. And in my opinion, they will be the norm going forward now for many years to come, like it or not. One thing that I think is incredibly important to mention in this final episode, something that has snowballed at quite a frightening pace since I began this project: artificial intelligence, also known as AI. The sheer ferocity of the thing is terrifying. In case you don't know, AI is essentially a bunch of already written information that, when given certain parameters, can string together new information with much of the same characteristics as the human brain. It means that things like stories, films, and yes, even music, can be strung together in seconds. I wanted to know how this could affect the music industry, so I scoured the internet and stumbled upon a complex article from March 2023. In this report, Rob Abelo, founder of Where Music's Going, a resource that helps artists cater to the modern day music industry, stated, "Music libraries and production houses will see the most change. The mass music as a service companies will almost entirely transition to AI, wiping out a huge area for 9-to-5 musicians to earn a living." I find this very interesting, as I'm not sure how this could work. People have to make money and make a living. Are you trying to tell me that someone like Harry Styles could be replaced with AI? In my opinion, this is impossible. Music is a rollercoaster of emotion invoked by the people who create it. Whilst the stereotypes is that music executives aren't the most ethical or unforgiving people, cutting 75% of people's jobs in the music industry would certainly be a new low. In episodes 2 and 3 of this series, I spoke to Alan Deves from Collect and Survive about his experiences with music streaming, and also how it affects his business. I think it was very important to speak to someone whose career is affected by streaming face to face. I think one of the most important things I took from this interview was the way it made me think about how the model of streaming services can affect artists' mental health. I mentioned just a few of the names of artists who'd had their careers affected by mental health struggles. I think it probably affects smaller artists more, as not having a full team around you to help you cater to the model that streaming services have helped implement can have a detrimental effect. In episode 4, I spoke about playlist curators. I think this is an interesting step forward in the distribution of music. When I searched the internet for more information on playlist curators, I was met with multiple sponsored links on Google of people advertising themselves as the best curators to help maximise your content. I question the ethics of this, however, as there is no guarantee that the money invested by the artist will be recouped. In fact, it's very unlikely this will happen. In the video I watched, however, the results were incredibly positive and promising, so what do I know? Throughout this project, I've certainly learnt an awful lot. I've heard good and bad points, and arguments for and against music streaming. It's allowed me to shape my opinion on these services, but it hasn't changed them. On the whole, I think music streaming is a very positive thing for the future of music. I think the best things about streaming are so convenient and helpful that they outweigh the negatives. It certainly helps that I'm not an artist who regularly tries to release new music. I'm just an average user, and the advertising schemes and model of streaming is probably built to cater to me. I hope this series has given you enough knowledge to help you make your own decisions on whether streaming is good for the future of music or not. After all, the main aim of this series was to find out more for myself on how good streaming is, and whether more research could have changed my opinion. On the whole though, I think streaming certainly benefits me, and I can't imagine a world without it. Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed.